Welcome back to Daytime, everyone. Now we're gonna, settle it down a little bit now. We take some time for reading, right? Open up our minds a bit and introduce you to a lovely novelist as well. Her name is Marlene Jones. She's a mother. She records singing the jazz and gospel.
She's a teacher, and she just writes on the side. No big deal.
No big deal. So that's exactly why we're pleased to have her on the show. Her name is Marlene Jones, and she's the author of the book entitled Silent Rain. Thank you so much for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
How do you have time to do all of this? That's what I want to know.
Well, you know what? I have to make time. My kids come first, naturally.
Yeah.
Of course.
And, after that, my downtime, I do some writing, just for the fun of it.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process and how that works?
Oh, well, my writing process is very intricate. I'm very detailed oriented, so I'm always sort of nitpicking, and I do a timeline. So I get my my computer and I do a little time. I start, okay, this is where we're going to begin. I'm going to maybe have the novel go for about 3 years, and then I work through that.
And what will happen during that time?
And what will happen, and then I do research, and I do other things.
All right, so let's talk about the book and the story behind it.
Ooh.
Silent Rain, a romance novel.
Well, Silent Rain, the working title was It Rained All Night, and then I thought, I'm a teacher, I need to come up with something more condensed. So I came up with some words. That's right, I came up with Silent Rain. And the concept is, it's really just a young woman who has gone through some stuff, and she finds love, and love saves the day, and
everyone's happy.
And everyone's happy, right. But you know what? In the interim, she goes through some stuff. So when she does become happy, it's like, yay, celebrate with her.
Is it hard writing a loving novel? I mean, how do you make something sound so loving and so great at the end, even with all its hardships as well?
Well, you know what's interesting, and my friends laugh at me for this, but as I wrote the novel, I became each character.
Oh.
And so I brought myself through the experience of every single character, and I felt everything. And there's a section in the book, well, I can't really give it away, but there's a section where it was just so emotional that I bawled.
Really?
Literally cried when I was writing. And that, it's funny enough, for all those who've read the novel, they've told me that, I was bawling
during that section.
Why did you do that? Why did that have to happen?
So your family thought you had multiple personalities for a
while? They really did, especially my son. My son, he said, Mom, you know what? Too much drama. I'm like, honey, drama sells.
Yeah, but where did you tap into at that point? Like, were you at, were you seeing the character and all that?
It's a very interesting process for me with the characters, because I develop them before I start to write about them, so that I'll know. And in this book, I think there are about 5 or 6 different characters, and for everyone who's read it at this point, they tell me very distinct. They don't overlap, and because it is a first novel, you're like, yay, this is good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a very close friend of mine. She just read it the other day, and she said, I couldn't tell that you wrote it, and I thought, yay, because it is a good thing, because some authors, they kind of bring their stuff into the mix.
They've got their own style as well.
They've got their own style, and they bring their life stories into the mix.
That was actually what I was going to ask you, if any of it came from real life experiences. So that would be a no.
That's a no.
Okay.
Were you tempted?
No, not really, because you know what, my life is probably more interesting than hers. So, in essence, but it was a really good, I had such a good time writing it and just making up the characters, and I've always just been able to think of things in my head and write it down. I mean, I've been writing since age, 8.
Wow.
And then when I was in grade 7, I wrote my first love song. I wrote it to a boy who had just moved to school.
Really?
I bet he loved that.
Well, no, because it was a painful song. He didn't know I existed.
Oh.
So I had to write him a song, and he wasn't really, loving this. But it's okay, because I still wrote it. And it
So
felt
it's in your blood. You've been doing this for quite a long time.
Right.
So why do you not use any personal experiences? Do you just not want to mix the two, or what is the reason for that? Or is that in your next book?
You know what? I've just completed my second novel, working on the third. The second is entitled Jade St. Clair. It's a different story. It's a different storyline. And what I'm getting is people who want me to write sequels to both books.
Okay.
And about 4 people say, I saw a movie as I was reading. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just promote it that way.
Perfect, yeah.
I don't put myself in it because it's fantasy for me. And I like that. And when you have fantasy, it doesn't touch as close to home.
Right.
You know, and I can twist and I can turn and I can, you know, take it anywhere I want to take it.
Right. I love how, like, the character, it's explained that she's a 26-year-old, smart, beautiful, confident, and in control of her own world.
Absolutely.
Yet she has no room for love and won't let that in her life.
Oh, well, isn't that what they all say? I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
But if it comes along,
and you would think like a confident, beautiful, you know, mature woman would have time for that, and all those guys who are wanting that. But I love how, you know, it's not necessarily the case. Yeah.
No, you know what? I've been reading novels for a while, and I find that romance novels are just so fluffy. You know, they're running through the meadow and hair blowing in the wind and all kinds of things. And I thought to myself, you know, I want to build a strong character, a strong female character. Yes, she has her issues, but you know, she's going to come through on the other end unscarred, you know.
Right. Now, there are so many different kinds of novels. Why did you choose a romance novel?
Well, you know what? I love love.
Yeah.
I'm romantic.
And people need to escape, right? And it's so great to have
Absolutely.
something like this when you're on a train for 4 hours, like I'm going to be on Sunday. Something that's just relaxed and not going to stress you out and create more tension in your life.
Definitely. I get a lot of my friends who've bought it, or people, they read it on the GO train. But then what they've told me is, well, you know, it's supposed to be my train book, but I couldn't put it down. So I had to read it. Yes, they continued. And one friend, she said her son had to actually take the book from her and hide it, which I thought was so nice.
That's awesome.
That's
that must feel so good when you hear people talking about your work like that, right? So you definitely know you hit the head on the nail right there. So you know people are enjoying the book. So you got 2 books in the process now.
Yes.
And any word on when we can expect the second novel?
Well, the second novel is at the presses as we speak, so that should be out sometime in late January, early February. I'm hoping to get it, you know, out in time for Valentine's Day.
Perfect.
There you go.
And if people want to get hooked on Silent Rain, how would they go about finding one of your books?
Oh, absolutely. You can go to Chapters. We're in Chapters. We're in Kohl's.
Oh, fantastic.
Knowledge Bookstore. We're online. You can go to the website, www.marlenepjones.com, and you can order online. You have so many options.
No excuses. And the holidays are coming up, so it's a great Christmas gift to give people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A great read for any lovely lady who's out there looking for some love as well as a man. I'm sure.
Listen, as a man as well.
A man. This book is directed to everybody, so it's called Silent Rain by Marlene P. Jones, and you'll definitely want to check it out.
Lots of love, lots of emotion.
In the lovey-dovey mood. I feel so lovey-dovey now, and I want to meet this 26-year-old Naya because, you know,
she sounds kind of nice. You might be interested.
Yes, I know. And I love and that's the thing with characters, you can actually just make a picture of them in your head, right? So that's fantastic.
Just a quick note with the cover.
We're actually going to just run out of time.
We have more Christmas gifts after this with Fair December.
Sorry, we were like totally